Well, we're on the air and it's 1 o'clock. So I want to start this council meeting off for May the 12th, 2020. So welcome to all of council and to staff. May we have a good meeting going forward. So we'll call this meeting to order, and we'll have a moment of silent reflection in preparation for today's meeting as a gesture of respect and contemplation, and to wish everyone to be well and safe in the days to come. Thank you. So with a show of hands, anyone declare pecuniary interest? Seeing none for today. So I'm looking for a motion for the approval of the agenda as circulated and/or as amended. Councillor War, Councillor Walsh, all in favor? Show of hands, perfect. Minutes and notes of the meetings. So council minutes and public meeting of April 28th. Looking for a motion on that, please. Deputy Mayor Burt. Councillor Archer, all in favor? Thank you, very good. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing no show of hands, the consent agenda. So correspondence for information, C1 through C5. Looking for a motion to receive those. Councillor Walsh, Deputy Mayor Burt, all in favor? That'll be carried. Thank you. No delegations or presentations. So now we're on to staff and committee reports. So R1, Candace, do you want to help us on that one, or are we just looking for a motion for wastewater operations manager for projects completion update?
Kyle was going to join us, but he's having technical difficulties and I'm trying to work him through. So
you want us to move on to R2 then for now?
no, I think he's joining us here.
There he is.
I can see everybody. I just can't. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. You guys can't see me?
No.
Okay, good, because I'm in my underwear.
I'm sure the world would want to hear that one, Kyle. Thanks. Go ahead, sir. We're waiting on you.
Perfect timing, Kyle. So R1, you're up.
Okay, well, I'm having technical difficulties today. My computer isn't working. I can't pull up any of my documents. I can't get on my Outlook, so I won't be able to regurgitate the report, but is there any questions?
All right. Well, the nice thing about this council is that we all read our agendas before the meeting, so that's a good thing. So council, any questions for Kyle at this time?
No, everything's in the report.
Seeing none. Candace, did you want to add anything to that report at all?
No, I do not. No.
Okay, perfect. So I'm looking for a motion to receive for information. Councillor War, Deputy Mayor Burt, all in favor? Show of hands, that's perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Try to get that fixed up, sir.
Hopefully soon.
All right, thank you. R2, Jeff Walden, Manager of Public Works and Environmental Services. Please, Mill Street Bridge update.
Any questions?
That's a good one, Jeff.
It's a nice try though, eh?
Well, let's keep it light, right?
Yeah. No, okay, as everybody's well aware, we did some exploratory work on the Mill Street Bridge. Unfortunately, it was a lot of different things going on all at the same time to try to prepare for the budget, with a recommendation of some possible rehabilitation, as well as a recommendation of further investigation into the bridge deck. So staff, in preparing the budget, prepared themselves to get ready for some rehabilitation work on the Mill Street Bridge as the first part of GHD's recommendation within our bridge and structure and culvert inspections. So we moved forward and we included $150,000 for some rehabilitation work, but also we moved forward. We had some money left in our capital, so we moved forward last fall with the bridge, the deck condition survey. The survey came back that the deck, the 75-year-old structure, was in need of repair outside of just rehabilitation work. Unfortunately, in the report, the concrete 75 years ago wasn't air and trained. It's not like today's concrete by any means, and it's showing signs of deterioration. The good news was that it's a 5-year scope. It's not catastrophic, but the recommendation that came out of the bridge deck condition survey was that we look at replacing the structure within 5 years. It's a small structure in a low volume road. So as I've kind of laid out in the report, into 2020, I would like to maybe investigate some other different scenarios as opposed to a concrete structure. I think there's some other options that we can look at there. The replacement cost for the concrete structure was $450,000 before engineering sort of deals. So I think it's just, there's more that we can look at, that's for sure. Other than that, like I said, our hands are kind of tied there. It's just a 1-lane road with the train bridge right there. There's not a lot of room to make any adjustments. So there's not much sense of looking at a bigger structure, or we just have to make sure we can get cover if we look at doing something different there, because you can't really change the grade of Mill Street with the rail bridge right there. So anyway, so 2020 we'll move forward.
And all options obviously will be considered prior to another staff report will come forward when we've looked at some procurement options as well as design options to take all of council's options into consideration. Today was basically just to let council know that the 2020 budget intent was not going to be moving forward as usual, but staff isn't really prepared to get into a detailed conversation as to all of the options and what may or may not work as of today, but another staff report will be coming forward that'll open up that lines of communication when we've had more research for council.
Sounds good. All right. Well, if it's going to come back to us again in the future, then there's really not much sense of having a huge discussion on this. Is there any questions, Lori?
I just have one through you, Mayor. Will you have to put any weight restrictions on that bridge while we're waiting for this replacement changes to be done?
It wasn't recommended, but again, I guess the saving grace is the train structure right there, the CP rail. You can't get a lot of big loads across it or whatnot. Yeah. So I mean, I could follow up with the engineer that did the deck condition survey and just kind of see what their feelings were. On a day-to-day basis, I know there's no real heavy loads go across it.
No.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Walsh.
Jeff, just in regard to that, so we have a full 5 years, or could we be required to move within 3 years to replace that, or are we pretty comfortable that we do have up to 5 years to make a plan that is financially sensible for that bridge replacement?
I think what I've learned with engineers, I think it's almost the opposite. When they say, my opinion is when they would say 5 years, we probably have more than 5 years even, but I think five is a good number to look at it. And I think whatever comes out of the exercise of other options, maybe we can look at, maybe it will happen before 5 years, hopefully.
Okay.
But I know I feel confident in saying that the 5 years is a good number.
Safe number. Okay, thank you.
So just a question, Candace, there's the $150,000 I think was set aside for that. So in our motion, do we ask for that $150,000 to put back into the 2020 budget, into the reserve for the future? Is that how that works?
No, staff isn't making that recommendation at this time. I don't know if council remembers, but there was some brief discussion back in February in regards to the potential of Wellington Street. And there was some brief discussion as to whether the funds that may be allocated to the reconstruction of that street while the offsite sanitary work is being done for Norwood Park Phase 3. So to utilize the fact that we have a construction company that's mobilized to site and take advantage of huge cost savings there. So again, that'll come forward in another future staff report. If that doesn't come to fruition, we will have to deal with the $150,000, but that is in the future and that is not being recommended today.
Okay, so we're just looking for a motion to receive Jeff's report then at this time.
That's what the motion says, yes.
Yeah,
For
Councillor
information.
Archer, thank you. And Councillor Walsh, all in favor? That's carried with the sign of hands. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, on that one. R3 then, digital speed sign and Black Cat purchase.
As per the March 10th, 2020 council meeting, there was council expressed some interest in looking at a possible radar speed detection sign. So we talked about it at our management team meeting and as a group, and we do have the Black Cat coming this year that we've budgeted for through the Police Services Board and discussions with the OPP. So it's as the recommendation, I think it's staff's opinion to let the Black Cat roll out first with the purchase of it this year and make sure we get a good handle on how that technology works and to make sure that we get the most out of it. And I think you will see that the Black Cat will feed future decisions of future technologies and possibilities, which could lead to the potential of a radar sign. They definitely do work. I think it's just important to take the step with the Black Cat first and let that. The technology is great. It's important to get the most out of it. That's for sure. I know even a small example like my cell phone, I probably only know half of what it does. So the Black Cat, I'd really like to get a really good handle on how it does and make sure it helps us make these decisions. And as I kind of dabbled in the report a little bit, discussions with the company that the Black Cat is coming from, they're actually a vendor for some radar speed signs. And they've got some pretty neat stuff and some pretty neat stuff coming out too that I think would be important to maybe wait for. They're developing a sign now. I can let it leak in the council meeting. I didn't want to put it in the report, but they're working on a sign now that you don't see yet. It's because it's theirs. It actually puts your license plate on the sign. So it actually detects and it will put, it doesn't record anything, but I mean, what doesn't hit home when it's like your license plate's below the speed sort of thing. So I think that's kind of neat. So I think there's some technologies as well that maybe we should let roll out and then let the Black Cat feed that decision. I think would be important. So
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, wait, Candace, you had something you want to add?
Yes, I had some counselor questions prior to today's council meeting, so I'll might as well answer those now to put it out so the public are aware. So the Black Cat was a group purchasing effort through all of the Peterborough County OPP, Police Services Board. The OPP doesn't police all of the Peterborough County lower tier, so it didn't, but it did encompass the 7 that are policed by the OPP. So it was group purchasing to save money, and it was a recommendation from the OPP to the Police Services Board, and that's why it was included in the 2020 budget for approximately $4,700. It is under the Conservation Authority / Policing Protective Persons budget. That's where you will find it in the 2020 budget. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Council, any questions pertaining to the Black Cat? Seeing nothing, so we're looking for a motion and to receive for information then. Councillor Ward, Councillor Walsh, all in favor? Thank you with the show of hands. All right, thank you, Jeff, very much. R4 then, Candace, CAO Clerk Treasurer's List, please. Oh, wait, no, sorry, it's about the red funding for the library, right?
Yes. So as council knows, the township was successful in receiving the Rural Economic Development Fund in conjunction with the Asphodel-Norwood Public Library Board in order to create and update the exterior courtyard space outside of the Norwood branch. This is the design that the committee has been working on with Basterfield and Associates. in order to transform that space. As you can see, we are utilizing the alleyway next to, that goes in between the home hardware building and the library. We have ensured that there is a pedestrian walkway that is through there so that people from the back who park in the back can still obviously walk through that alley. There just won't be any vehicular traffic utilizing that alleyway once this is constructed. We have all of this is a design concept. The design concept then has to be procured. So we do need to procure each item that is within the design. So the benches will likely look different. The garbage and recycling receptacle will look different. It'll fall in line to the new ones that we've put around the township. The shade structure, but right now it's to get the overall design and the space that we have and the dimensions, and to get the permeable soil section of the courtyard, that engineering standpoint, to ensure that it can, that we don't have a actual flooding issue, because right now that all of that soil is permeable. So all the rain soaks away. It's muddy there. So when we turn that into a concrete hard surface, are we going to create some sort of issue? That has been engineered out so that it will be on a slight grade towards the sidewalk. So that row of bushes and kind of broken rock you see across the borders, the courtyard and the sidewalk kind of in between, that is all permeable. So that is going to soak away all of the water from that runs between the building and that permeable section, and it will slightly grade towards the sidewalk. So nothing will be tilted towards the building itself. All drainage is going to occur to the front of the library. All components that were brought forward during the initial preliminary discussions were included. So because the trees being removed, the shade structure obviously is a huge component. Additional seating that's all accessible. The opportunity to just create an inviting space. A new front door is being proposed to the library for safety issues. As of right now, that door is solid, and the social services division for the city of Peterborough does utilize the library a couple of days a week, and when the library is closed. So they knock on the door and the social service worker or the library worker goes down and opens that door with really little to no access to know who's on the other side of that door. So there is some safety concerns. So that door will be replaced as part of this project with a book slot return is going to remain. Obviously, that's an important function for a library. So that is going to remain intact. The goal is to replace everything that's red with a charcoal gray. So the trim, the soffit, fascia, eaves, trough, everything's going to be painted to a black charcoal gray type shade to match all of the other stuff that's going on in the front courtyard. New signage, new bike racks. There will be, I don't know if you noticed to the left of the library, there's that other small little alleyway, and it's kind of uninviting and aesthetically unpleasing. So there is going to be you can see kind of a false wall. It's kind of like kind of like a shade type thing, but it's vertical, and it's going to block that alleyway aesthetically. The gas meter is right there by the sign in the bike racks. They are aware of that. It will not impede any functionality for services for the space. There has been chatter, obviously, due to COVID-19, whether the water bottle filling station is going to move forward. I didn't bother paying Basterfield and Associates to remove it because we had sent it in our original list, but we just, based on how our conversations are going, it may not be moving forward. Again, that'll go back to the committee for discussion. You can see that there is some different color of concrete to kind of delineate the walking space, and it's going to be all concrete. Some will be colored. It's not going to be stones or like paver type stones that we have to deal with grass growing up in between and create a maintenance. So it's going to be solid concrete, just colored. So it's for ease of maintenance ongoing in the future. So basically, this is coming forward to council just to get an idea of the design, of if there's any sort of concepts that you see that you like, that you dislike prior to us submitting it to the library board for their comments. Once all comments are received and submitted back to Basterfield and Associates, any tweaks will be completed to the plan. Then staff will procure it. So we'll go out and we'll release RFQs, tenders, depending on what the threshold amount is, of what we need. And I do know we could potentially be receiving some in-kind work for this project as well. So the preliminary cost estimate that was provided by Basterfield and Associate is just that, an estimate. A concrete total will come forward once all of the components of the project have been procured and awarded to the different contractors.
Great report. Council, any questions at this time? Okay. Oh, Deputy Mayor Burt.
No, not so much of a question. I think they were all answered earlier. Yeah, the project looks great, and I think the library board will be thrilled to see this, and it's even better that a lot of the funding comes from elsewhere. So looking forward to see this project started and completed. And I believe you're likely anticipating that the timeline for this project can be extended, hopefully, fingers crossed, given the situation we're in. We're 2 months behind the ball already.
Yeah, so the extension request was submitted. We received an invite to submit an extension request. So it's not like so I'm pretty sure that they're going to be extended. The municipality has received an extension to every program we've requested an extension to. We haven't been denied yet. I would be surprised if the project was denied. Obviously, we're in a situation where we may be unable to complete the project within 2020. So the other good thing is it'll allow us to include another budget year, and the library board will have another year to collect development charges in 2020 to boost up their contribution, and we'll be able to include another 5,000 or 10,000 in the 2021 budget if needed, to ensure that it's done properly. That we don't want to go halfway with it. So the extension is going to accomplish two things.
Thank you.
You're
Good.
welcome.
Anything else, council?
No, it's good.
Seeing no hands, we're looking for a motion then for the information on this update then, please. Councillor Walsh and Councillor Archer, all in favor? Thank you. Very good. Okay, R5, Candace, telecommunications tower policy, please.
Yes, so this is the draft telecommunication policy that was presented to council. Can't believe it was late last year. That so much time has gone by, 6 months ago. And it was council's direction to release it. So we did release it to the public for a 30-day commenting period. We did directly provide it by email to those residents who had sparked this conversation originally. We did not receive any comments back. We did follow the regular township channels, website, advertised on social media, in the newspaper, out on our community boards, and no feedback was received. I did speak with Ed prior, and staff is comfortable with the layout of the report. We do not feel that the policy is overly restrictive. It basically falls in line with the federal requirements anyway. So I don't foresee the policy creating any roadblocks in the future.
Good news. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, any questions on this one? Councillor Walsh?
Just through you, Mayor, it's really just more of a comment. Having read through the policy, it certainly looks, it's not restrictive to the standpoint that these services are needed. I think during the days that we're in right now, we're seeing and hearing that more and more, that people do need telecommunication towers. But I think it's a fair policy in that we do allow residents that have any concerns that there is a public consultation part of it. So I think we've adopted, I think, a really fair policy for all concerned.
Great comment. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no hands. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to receive and then to adopt the telecommunications policy. Deputy Mayor Burt, Councillor Archer, All in favor? Carried, thank you. Candace, again. So now R6, pre-servicing agreement, Norwood Park Phase 3, please.
Yeah, so this is the natural next step for the 118 unit Norwood Park Phase 3 subdivision. This is the pre-servicing agreement. What this allows the developer to do is to go in and to start some pre-servicing work prior to a subdivision agreement being in place. The township did enter into a pre-servicing agreement for the other phases as well as other developments in the southern part of the township. And they do work well. We do receive securities, and then the remainder of the securities are received for the estimated cost of public works in the subdivision agreement. So they are two distinct documents. They do address different things. The subdivision agreement is where you're going to see it gets into more of the defined details of the subdivision. Such as landscaping, fencing, you'll see the details of sidewalk widths, more material based, like more specifics to the township, more specific requirements, parkland, stormwater management ponds, drainage, all of those things are spelled out. Staff obviously knows the majority of those answers now because it comes forward in the detailed design when a subdivision receives draft plan approval. So a couple of things. This pre-servicing agreement does not mean that the township will be issuing a certificate of draft plan approval. That does not happen until all draft plan conditions from the subdivision have been satisfied. One of the main components of a draft plan is the entering into a subdivision agreement. So when staff brings forward the subdivision agreement for council to consider, we will be getting to the point for staff to recommend to the lawyer to issue a certificate to clear their draft plan conditions. And then at that point, the subdivision can be registered with the land registry office. Okay. So the pre-servicing agreement that is in front of council today will just allow the subdivision to move forward. It is the on-site servicing only. This does not address the off-site work that needs to be completed for this subdivision. The off-site sanitary work, which is will be to replace approximately 625 meters of sanitary main, will come forward in a separate agreement. Will be a cost sharing venture between the developer and the township. A report did come forward to council back in 2016, 2017, in regards to getting approval for the cost sharing. But again, time goes by, so the design has changed. 3 years has gone since the offsite sanitary has been costed. There's been an increase in cost. So we need to go back at the offsite sanitary. So it'll come forward to council in a separate report under a separate request.
Thank you, Candace, for that. Council, any questions on that at this time? Okay, seeing no hands, we're looking for a motion then to receive for information and that the council authorize myself and the clerk to execute a pre-service agreement with DPH Development Incorporated for Norwood Park Phase 3. Councillor War, Councillor Archer, all in favor? Seeing all hands, thank you very much. Okay, Candace, thank you for that. Correspondence for action.
Can we just do the
C6.
action list?
Sorry. What am I missing there?
The action list.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. R7. Excellent. Management action list. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So coming up on the 26th of May, council is going to potentially see some further planning development agreements for BGS for the condo development there. That was included in that condo development was actually approved in the subdivision agreement for the west end. So the east end of that development, Maple Avenue East, which had those 12 homes in the cul-de-sac, was one development governed under one subdivision agreement on its own. The west end was actually phased. It's another separate subdivision, but it was phased into parts. So part of that subdivision was these 2 condo blocks that were approved. Although they were approved in the plan, the plan of subdivision, they are governed under separate documents outside of the subdivision agreement because they're condo development. So we are still working through finalizing the site servicing plan. It's getting very, very close based on our electronic meetings last week. So hopefully we'll see those on the 26th. If you don't, you're gonna see them in June. The draft growth plan, we had a 2-hour meeting with that this morning. We are very, very close to getting the draft together, but some significant changes did get sent back to the engineers who are working on that. So you're not going to see that on the 26th. Township-wide fire route review, that was something that came out of a council meeting last year to take a look at all of the fire routes, to see where they are, to see what needs to be labeled, to see what signage has to be done, and just to let council know where we are with that project. Fence viewers. The other thing that's going to come on here that's happened is the merger agreement for Huckleberg. We did receive that, so we are going to get the staff report together and quickly get that out the door back to them. So we'll bring that on the 26th as well. And that's it. So it'll just be a regular meeting of council.
Sounds good. Council, any questions on that action list?
No.
Okay, seeing none. So we just receive that for information then? No motion on that then?
A motion, please, just for information though.
Please look them up. Councillor Walsh and Councillor Archer. Thank you. All in favor? That's carried with a show of hands. Thank you. Correspondence then for action. C6, Township of Mapleton. Any questions or concerns? Anything that Candace might be able to help us with? Are we just looking for a motion to receive and/or receive and support? What's the Deputy Mayor Burt?
Yeah, I touched base with Candace on this one, and I thought it was a very interesting document around the rural and urban municipalities and the farm tax rate. And it's something that I haven't really heard of before in sharing that load of the farm tax rate with the entire province versus the municipality. So I kind of think it's worth supporting and looking into with the province. And I would say receive and support this one, but I'm interested to hear what the other council members would think.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Councillor War?
I'm in favor of what Lori was suggesting. I did do some research as well because I'd not heard of distributing the tax base across the province to other for agricultural land taxes. So I'm in favor of receive and support as well.
I can explain a little. I can give some background. So the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund, the OMPF that we receive annually as a transfer payment from the province, a portion of that payment is intended to offset the revenue loss that a municipality receives due to agricultural properties traditionally being assessed at 25% of the residential tax rate. As we know, the OMPF, so what they're saying is to go across the province. What they're saying with that is that the province, how they are compensating the municipalities is through the OMPF. But as they've been slowly reducing that fund, or in the last 2 years, it's been somewhat in jeopardy and under review by the province, is that this municipality is wanting the provincial government to remember the fact of that the original intent of what the OMPF was. And as you continue to reduce that bucket of money, you continue to reduce the compensation that those municipalities receive that offset that revenue loss, especially those that have a high percentage of agricultural lands in the municipalities such as us. So we do receive an extra boost in the OMPF, another little amount, because we have over the 70, I think it's 72% is a threshold, because we have over that percentage of agricultural properties as a percentage in our municipality, we do get even a little bit more OMPF because of that. So if that continues, that bucket of money continues to be reduced, it means we're losing the compensation for those agricultural properties. And if we reduce that 25% on the dollar of the residential tax rate down to say a 20% or a 15%, they are wanting that the agriculture communities are asking for. They are asking that the province then, if they're going to grant that, ensure that the OMPF doesn't continue to reduce, that it actually increases to offset that revenue base. Or in our circumstance, that difference, that revenue loss, will be allocated to the residential tax base, because that is our largest base. Where in a larger region, such as the region of Durham, that did lower their agricultural tax rate to 20%, they were able to disperse that loss across their commercial and industrial tax bases, which is, they won't see the significant of a hit as a rural municipality would. So they're really asking for the OMPF to ensure that its intent stays intact. That's basically what they're asking.
Yep. Deputy Mayor Burt.
I just have a question, Candace. Have you seen this come across the desk before?
Not across the desk as a resolution formed in this way, but I sit on the TAC committee for the OMPF for the province. So it has come across. Some of the treasurers, the rural treasurers, have really pushed this home back to the province. But as far as a piece of correspondence, but this is not going to be the first time that the province has heard this. The TAC committee's been screaming it for the last 18 months, that you cannot continue to reduce this because you're not adjusting any of the tax ratios. So.
Councillor War.
Through you, Mayor, to Candace, what is the reduction that our township has experienced in payments? Do you have any idea? I know that's probably something I should have asked prior.
No, that's okay. I remember, I think I sent out an email to everyone that kind of showed what the breakdown has been. So we have, we did see a bit of reduction, but we've been down into like 600. We fluctuate from 650,000 to about 780,000. There's about $100,000 difference that we fluctuate between over the last 15 years.
Right.
What they've done is they've reduced the basket 5% per year annually. So say, so they have 5 million in the OMPF basket as a number, then they continue or reducing that by 5%. Each municipality is impacted differently. So our municipality hasn't seen a great impact, and partially part of that is because we have such a high agricultural content. So we're still getting that top up because of that. So other municipalities are seeing a bigger reduction. And that agricultural portion is only one piece of the OMPF pie. There's 4 components that make that up. So the other components are still holding strong for us as well. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
This was the reason why the 1 year we took so long in order to get the tax passed, because we were waiting on the government to hand that money over to us, right?
We held the budget because it was the last, we got notified at Christmas that they were not releasing the OMPF funds, and we had to wait for them to do the release. But then they quickly rallied and we got 2020's notification in record time. And by the looks of it, 2021 is not going to be impacted either.
Yeah, I remember you saying that they promised us 2021 coming forward. So not to worry for next year, but we may have to budget later in life for this problem. So,
well, it's going to be a good way for the province to actually transfer funds due to the pandemic down to the lower tier. So it'll be interesting to see if it actually goes the other way.
So, Deputy Mayor Burt, you said receive and support, I believe, and Councillor War, you seconded.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion on the matter? Seeing none, then we'll have a raise of hands in support of the motion then, please. All hands are raised. It carries. Thank you. C7, City of Hamilton, request to regulate and enforce odor, lighting nuisances related to the cultivation of cannabis plants. Council, what's your thoughts on that one? Are we looking for a motion just to receive and or to support too? Councillor Walsh?
Through you, Mayor, I'll put forward a motion that we receive this correspondence. I did have a conversation with Candace before the meeting on this. We have other means through other zoning bylaws or official plan that we can deal with any potential issues that would rise from this concern.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a seconder on that then. Deputy Mayor Burt. Okay, any other discussion on the matter? Seeing none, we're looking for a raise of hands for the support of this motion then. Thank you. All hands raised. It carries. Thank you. C8, Town of Grimsby, resolution regarding commercial rent assistance program. Council, what's your thoughts on that? Councillor Burt, Deputy Mayor Burt, sorry.
Could I just wondered, I am not a person who rents commercial property, so I just wanted the opinion of anybody on council who is and what they've experienced up till now.
Anybody have any thoughts on that? My only take on that is, I guess in my world for commercial rent, I was very lucky that some of the businesses in my building were not affected by COVID-19. They were able to continue on. So I do have thoughts and feelings for those out there that were affected by that, but the government did come through with grants and things like that to help people with their rents going forward. That's all the intake I have. So, but we'd still need a motion to receive or support on this one though. Looking for a motion. Councillor War.
Motion to receive.
Thank you. I have a seconder. Councillor Archer. Any other discussion? Okay, motion then is on the floor. Raise of hands then in support of that. And that's carried. Thank you. Councillor liaison reports. Anybody want to have something verbal they need to say today at all? Councillor War.
I just have one thing to report. We have started posting newspaper articles on the Asphodel-Norwood Historical Facebook page, and the responses have been very favorable. Over 2,000 people reached since May 3rd, and we don't boost our posts. So that's with shares, the engagements are pretty good, and I think that's a feel-good story. In today's world, people have been really enjoying some of the stories that have been posted.
Excellent news. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Burt?
Yeah, I didn't get my my written report in, so I'll just update quickly. We had a county council meeting on May the 6th, again, an online meeting. And we're going through an organizational and service delivery review, and you could go on the county council website into the last agenda, and there's quite a report there of initial findings for now, and just finding opportunities and next steps for efficiencies in all the departments, including council. And I think it's a very good process. We're going through lots of information, so you could certainly check that out. The County Sign Bylaw Committee presented a very comprehensive report, and they're looking for feedback June 20th. So I know our staff is looking at that to send back to the mayor and myself to give feedback and input on that. And PCAD and the Peterborough Chamber of Commerce, they have a number of links for business assistance. And I know Candace has sent that out to all of our businesses in the township, and just to let them know what's available. They also have a very good gift card program, which if you know of any businesses that are looking to maybe, kickstart their business a little bit in all of this, it's a free program that's available. So that is also on their information. And like I say, every business had received that through the township. I have, and they're large, and Councillor War, you likely have these, the Trent Conservation Source Protection Committee, all of the annual reports are in, and if anybody wants some light reading, I have them and I can forward those on to you. So if you're interested in that as well. And I obviously canceled my AMO conference that I was planning on attending in August. I believe it will all be online anyways, but we'll see what happens there. There's always next year, and I think that's it.
Perfect. Anyone else? Councillor Walsh?
Just to the team, to advise from a cemetery board perspective, we have had one Zoom meeting a couple, 3 weeks ago, and I'll actually be having a follow-up meeting this evening where we will be this evening finalizing rates for all the cemetery services. And then once those are all finalized, they will be published and readily available to anybody that needs the services of our Norwood Asphodel Cemetery.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
say something?
Yes, Candace?
Barry, can you just mention tonight to the group that if the cemetery board is booking a meeting, if they could let us know, because we have to add it to our community calendar because they're technically open meetings to the public. All of the committee and board meetings are. So if one is scheduled, just pop it off to us and we can get it up on our community calendar on the website. So then we've kind of put a check mark in that box since we're doing things a little differently.
Okay, do you want tonight sent to you?
So obviously it's electronics, and what time is it starting?
It's 6:30. And it's actually, at this point, it was just scheduled through my Zoom account, Candace.
Okay. Okay, well, we can follow up with that a little bit later.
Okay.
I'm just, the library is going to have their first Zoom meeting coming up on May 25th. So that's exciting news for the library board. Finally get to meet back together again, see each other face to face. So anyone else? Seeing nothing, thank you. CAO clerk treasurer's list then, Candace, please.
Yes, so just a quick COVID-19 update. I did submit a fairly extensive email to all of council to give you guys an update as to where things are at, but I think it's important that the public also knows, so I'm just going to give a few highlights here. The transfer station, as we know, has been a hot topic through everyone, and I just staff is diligently working towards finalizing a reopening plan for the month of May. So the residents are encouraged to look to the website and social media accounts to see further details in regards to that. When it does reopen, there's going to be strict regulations in place. The municipal office, there is no date for that to reopen either, but a reopening plan has been established and put in place, which does include installing a service window in the vestibule to allow to have a barriered approach to customer service moving forward. Further details will be coming forward in the next few weeks in regards to that. The fire department, residents are quite pleased with this. The burn ban was lifted yesterday morning. We have issued a fair number of permits, is by my understanding, by the way, the number of emails and phone calls and text messages I've received and forwarded onto the office. So I'm sure they have been quite busy today issuing permits. Again, we are strictly enforcing bylaw 2016-79, and we are encouraging residents to read that bylaw, ensure that if they need a permit, that they have one, and that they're contacting the fire chief, if applicable, all prior to burning. Although things have greened up and it's not as dry, it has been a very windy season. The playgrounds and parks, as we know, there's been a change there from the provincial point of view. They have opened their green spaces and walking trails for walking and hiking only, with all washrooms and playgrounds, etc., continuing to remain closed. This will be top of priority on the agenda for Thursday's municipal control group meeting for us to decide as to how, if there's going to be any impact to the township green spaces based on the province's change in direction on that topic. As you know, the province has extended the state of emergency until June 2nd. The other is the boat launches. The neighbors, the mayor and I do participate in a weekly phone call on Thursdays with the OPP, and all mayors and staff do participate. So we are able to talk together, and we are looking for a systematic collaborative approach to the opening of the boat launches, specifically Trent Hills, Asphodel-Norwood and Autonomy South Monaghan, due to the fact that we do share a body of water. So if we were to open and they did not open, obviously we would see a huge influx in activity at our own boat launches. So so I foresee Trent Hills, Asphodel-Norwood, and OSM boat launches all opening at the same time to avoid that for any one of the 3 municipalities. Again, that's going to be discussed on our Thursday meeting with the OPP call, as well as then of the municipal control group. So I will be sending further communication out to council after those meetings as to a status update. The other departments are moving forward status quo. The public works as well as the water, wastewater departments are moving forward status quo. Team approach, trying to have staff keep that 2-meter distance and not be in close proximity as much as possible. I am drafting a policy for when everything kind of gets back up and running. If 2 people have to go in a vehicle per se, what is reopening going to look like from a PPE perspective? It's just going to be a staff procedure as far as what my expectations are for the departments because there is going to be those times where Public Works may have to share a vehicle, Parks Department may have to share a vehicle. We're not going to get through the rest of 2020 with that situation not presenting itself. So we need to ensure that we have a policy in place prior to that happening so that we ensure that our staff is safe and that we're setting a good example for the public. Building, planning, and bylaw continues to alternate days and continues to process permits electronically up until the point of issuing stage so that they're ready to go as soon as we start issuing permits and that we are able to get those out the door ASAP, as well as conducting inspections on non-occupied residences or anything or any inspections that are done outside of homes. So the bylaw has kicked into gear. So it is bylaw season. So that is keeping that department busy as well. So that's my COVID-19 update. Before I flip onto the rest of my sale list, does any member of council, most of that you have heard before, but do you have any questions or any particulars you'd like me to identify during the meeting?
Council, anything?
No.
Okay, so moving on, so then the 200-year anniversary for Asphodel, we had discussed the sign, getting a sign made to go in Asphodel that highlights the new 200-year logo that is being presented. Just want to confirm with council based on our last discussion that the proper home that council would like to see for that sign is the Westwood Library Park. Because it was that was kind of the conversation that we had before, but just want to confirm, really there's only 2 locations that can go, would be the Asphodel Park or the Westwood Library Park. Does council have any preference or any comments in regards to that?
Thoughts? Councillor War?
Through you, Mayor. Just one comment. I think the Westwood Park would be ideal because that was the location of the town hall.
Yeah, and I believe that was the discussion last time too.
Yeah. That's my only comment.
Okay, so that hasn't changed. There isn't any further comment in regards to that. Okay, so when it is installed, obviously it's unfortunate we can't have the big unveiling like we had traditionally wanted, but it will be advertised and we'll get the picture out on social media and so that the residents are aware, and on the website so they are aware that it's up and running. I just finalized the design last week. It should be up in the next month or so. The committee and board meetings, I guess I just wanted to state, it looks like the boards are moving forward with meetings through Zoom, library board and cemetery board, but our committees are not. I have put it out to the chairs of the committees that if they want to host a Zoom meeting, obviously the township can facilitate that to ensure. But the majority of those committees are event-based and they organize events amongst the township, and all of them have been canceled. So their mandate has really been narrowed. And so I think that's part of the reason why they're not taking the opportunity to meet as a committee. Is there any thoughts or pressure from council that you would like a certain committee to actually meet for any purpose or discussion, or can we just allow them to maintain the status quo?
Council, anything that you want to add to that? No thoughts?
No. And I think it's everyone kind of those committees and those chairs. I believe that I have been staying in contact with them through the chairs and separate members of the committees. And it seems to be the consensus is they are kind of okay with just dealing with the pandemic. So
Good. Anything else on your list, Candace?
yes, I would like to say congratulations to Melanie. Melanie just completed her AMCTO Municipal Administration program. It takes 2 years to complete that, and she just finalized her, got her final certificate and her final exam. So I just wanted to say congratulations to her and to let council know that she is working towards the other components of that program, but that's the biggest one. So congratulations, Melanie, you did a great job. You stuck with it.
Congratulations.
And just to let council know, the audit, so the audit has kind of continued as far as we have been able to satisfy all of the requirements and provided them all of the electronic documents that they have requested. And basically the audit now sits to wait to see if they're going to be able to physically come on site at some point to complete that audit. The FIRs, the financial information returns that are completed after the final audit they have to be submitted to the province before September. Whether the province gives an extension onto that or not, I think there's some time that I foresee something being downloaded in regards to that, because FIRs can't be completed until the final audits are completed. So stay tuned on that, but I think we have finalized all of the lists, and now they have all of the documentation, and we're just allowing them to cipher through it electronically, but it's a much slower process for them on their end, obviously, but it has moved forward, and that's it from me.
Thank you, Candace. Just a question on that for the audit by September. Is that something that maybe you should send off to Pacini? Just to put a highlight there so he can maybe put it on an agenda item for to talk about?
Jim Simos, who handles the FIRs from the province, has sent out communication that has stated that he has highlighted it to them already. So I think we should maybe give it a little bit of time. And then if we don't hear anything by mid-June from Jim Simos, then probably best to go through him. And if he isn't getting anywhere, then maybe we'll get the other politicians involved. But I think Jim needs to have the opportunity to get the message out.
Good thought. Thank you. Council, anything else on that CAO clerk treasurer's list? So that was just for information only then?
No motion needed.
Thank you. On to general business. Council, anything for general business? Deputy Mayor Burt?
I just have a question, and this is for Candace through the mayor. Yesterday, we would have received a thing from AMO in the Connecting Links projects and the funding that's come out for it it's for municipal roads that connect with provincial highways and funding for 2021 and into 22. Are there any projects? Do we qualify? So 7 is not. No.
Well,
okay.
7 is a connecting link, but we're not a connecting link municipality.
Okay.
So Havelock, Belmont, Methuen, Marmarin Lake, they're connecting link municipalities. So they'll be able to apply for that funding. We are not. Why are we not?
Yeah.
Back when the Ministry of Transportation was accepting applications for the Connecting Link program, the Council of the Day decided that they would not enter into that program. It is a bit of a double-edged sword. Although there is funding available right now, those municipalities are responsible to meet all maintenance and reconstruction of Highway 7, and it hits the taxpayer's bill. They pay for plowing, they pay for sweeping of that highway, they pay for paving. Whenever the MTO says they have to super pave it, they have to super pave it. It's a pretty hefty bill.
Yep.
But so with those dollar signs comes the ability though to basically govern that highway as far as entrances and that sort of thing. So it creates some flexibility to the municipalities when it comes to development. So For instance, when Havelock put in the Tim Hortons, they were connecting link, the MTO wouldn't have had as much teeth in that conversation as they would say with the A&W for us,
Okay,
but they pay the bill. So, but we have looked into it, and the ministry is not accepting applications for any more connecting links right now, even if we wanted to.
okay, thanks. I was just curious about that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else in council for general business? All right, seeing nothing, what I had to say actually is from council to staff. We had a little discussion one-on-one with each other, and we just wanted to send out under general business a big thank you from council. We have been quiet, but we're trying to let you do your jobs, and we very much appreciate what every one of you are doing out there for us and for the township, the residents of our area. And it's very heartfelt and very much appreciated. Thank you very much. That's from all of council.
It is our
Okay.
pleasure.
Notice of motion, I see there's none, and there's no closed session. So clerk, I'd like to have you read the bylaws, please.
That the bylaw to authorize the execution of a pre-servicing agreement between DPH Developments, Inc. and the Corporation of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and numbered. Bylaw 2020-24.
Looking for a motion. Councillor Walsh. Deputy Mayor Burt. All in favor? Show of hands, unanimous. Thank you. Confirming bylaw.
The bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood held on May 12, 2020 be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and numbered. Bylaw 2020-25.
Council. Councillor Walsh, Councillor Ward, all in favor? Show of hands, very good, carried, thank you. You see our future meeting schedule, and looking for a motion to adjourn at 2:01 p.m. on this day, please. Deputy Mayor Burt, Councillor Archer, all in favor? Carried. Thank you for a very productive day, council, and for staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Take care.
Enjoy your day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.